In 2014, the Lego Movie had officially released. Along with a couple of spin-offs and a sequel, it was a good franchise. But not many people know about its canceled film. That would be another spin-off. A little film called The Billion Brick Race. In order to understand how we got to the Billion Brick Race, we should probably understand the full history of the Lego Movie franchise. In 2008, Dan Lin had conceived the idea for the film while discussing it with Roy Lee before leaving Warner Bros. To form his own production company. Meanwhile, Warner Bros. Home Entertainment executive Kevin Tsuchira, I definitely butchered that name, had recognized the value of the Lego franchise by engineering the studio's purchase of the Lego game franchisee Traveler's Tales in 2007. She thought that the success of the Lego-based video games indicated a Lego-based film was a good idea and championed the film to be developed. By 2009, Dan and Kevin Hagame, I definitely butchered that name again, were writing the script described as an action-adventure set in the Lego world. Phil Lord and Chris Miller were brought in to write and direct the film around 2010 after the success of their film Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Warner Bros. Finally greenlit the film in 2011 with a planned 2014 release date. The Australian studio Animal Logic, known for special effects in other movies, and Happy Feet, were contracted to provide the animation. By this time, Chris McKay, the director of Robot Chicken, had joined Lord and Miller to co-direct and supervise the production in Australia, while Lord and Miller went to work on 22 Jump Street. By March 2012, the film, which had the working title of Lego: The Piece of Resistance, was set to release in February 28, 2014. However, that date would soon change to February 7th of the same year. By June of 2012, Chris Pratt had been cast as the leading character, Emmett. Will Arnett had been casted to voice Lego Batman, and soon Elizabeth Banks was hired to voice a character named Wildstyle. Morgan Freeman was offered to voice a character named Vitruvius. And by November, Aaron Bree, Will Ferrell, Liam Neeson, and Nick Offerman had signed on for different roles. The film's animation is highly styled by the fan-made brick films of the olden days, like The Magic Portal. This is different because many Lego films that were direct-to-video were known for not really following the strengths of the toy, instead just being regular characters that were more made out of rubber than hard plastics. The film came back at about $400 in the total box office of a budget about $65 million, not including advertising. The success of the film helped push Lego into the #1 toy company slot, and there was a shortage of Lego products by September of that year. But finally, in March of 2015, Warner Bros. Announced that a third Lego Movie spin-off, The Billion Brick Race, was in development. This was after the announcement of a Lego Batman movie in 2014 and a Ninjago movie shortly after. Not much would happen with the film until about 2017 when Jaron Segel and Drew Prince signed on to the project as co-directors and co-writers. The Lego Batman movie, while not making as much money as the first film, still did pretty good at the box office. And in May of 2017, a TV show based off of the Lego Movie franchise called Unikitty was announced, based off of the character of the same name. She would have a new voice actor in a new kingdom with new friends and antagonists. But when the Ninjago film released in September of 2017, it bombed hard. The reason I believe it actually failed was timing. There's already a good Lego movie that came out that year, and Ninjago's fan base had all but grown up and forgotten about it. But it was still about a year or two before fans started to get nostalgic and gave the show some resurgence. By this point, there was already a release date announced for May 24th, 2019, which meant it would come out the same year as the sequel and be the second film to be produced in Canada. The first being the original Lego Movie sequel, and the second being an untitled Batman movie sequel to come out in about 2022. Finally, excluding some previews, the Unikitty TV show premiered on January 1st, 2018. And by July of 2018, it was confirmed by priests that it was going to be a Lego racing movie, inspired by car films like The Cannonball Run, as well as Dan Land, Roy Lee, Phil Lord, and Chris Miller returning as producers for the film. Then finally, on February 8th, 2019, the film we'd all been waiting for 5 years, The Lego Movie 2, the second part, finally released in theaters and was immediately a box office bomb. I once again blame this on really bad timing due to the fact that Lego's target demographic is 6 to 11. The 6-year-olds who saw this movie when it first came out were now 11. The 11-year-olds who saw this movie are now 16. And the 6-year-olds who saw this movie were now just about ready to walk whenever the first film came out. Oh yeah, and the Lego movie's total cost was about $100 million, including advertising, which means that the second film, which had a film budget, not including the massive marketing budget that had so much content for it, was about $99 million. It only came back with $191 million. And since we still don't know the full budget, that means it could have come back with a very small profit or just a loss altogether. By December of that year, Lego had finally made up their minds. They had officially went with Universal to release all future Lego films. But Warner Brothers would keep the rights to the original characters, which means that new episodes of Unikitty can be produced, and Benny and Wildstyle made a cameo in the Walmart commercial for Super Bowl 54. Unfortunately, by January of 2020, the film, known as The Billion Brick Race, which had been stuck in development for the last 3 years, was officially cancelled. We did find this cool promotional art, which was released by one of the film crew after the film was cancelled, but it doesn't really do anything other than spare us a little bit more information than the paragraph that was already available at the time. And so that was the end of The Billion Brick Race. Honestly, judging by the title and plots from films like The Cannonball Run, like the plot thing said, I'm guessing that it would probably be something about a really, really long race with all the characters having different ways to mess each other up, and they would all just be one crazy journey to the end of this billion brick long race. Get it? Because the title of The Billion Brick Race. I know, but that sounds a little bit better as a 4D dark ride than it really does just some sort of full-length movie. Anyways, there were plans for Lego Movie 3, but none of them really came to fruition. I remember people were speculating about there being some sort of cousin initiative where they have to travel outside the house. There could be some knockoff bricks that get pulled in, and I remember reading one called The Lego Movie 3, A Powerpuff Adventure or something like that. Well, it's filled with the cheap crossovers that normal kid fanfictions have with The Loud House and Gumball and other shows. It's actually a pretty good show, and I would honestly recommend the very first paragraph because it sounds very real. But if you're wondering why it sounded so choppy, it's because this is probably my biggest project to date, and I haven't really done something this big. So if you like animated comedy sections that are like storytime animation but fantasy instead of real blogs, then you're in luck. But if you're looking for more stuff like this, try checking out channels like Alpha J and Bright Sun Films. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next Thursday.